Have you ever had somebody you barely know just start sharing intimate secrets of their personal life with you? If that's something that's happened to you, and it happens a lot to introverts, then you have an advantage in leadership that most people don't understand. Today we're going to look at how introverts' natural tendency towards building those intimate one-on-one connections with people is a secret power that you can use to become a more effective leader. Trust is the foundation of all good leadership. When people trust you, they're willing to follow you and take direction from you. When they don't trust you, they aren't willing to follow you. And introverts have an advantage when it comes to developing trust. That advantage is our ability to listen. Welcome to episode 3 of Quiet Power, a deep look at introverted leadership. My name is Charles, and I'm a life coach with over 5 years experience. And today we're going to look at how active listening and good listening skills can build a foundation of trust that make you a more effective leader in life and in your career. In my last video, I talked about a new job I took when I was bartending and how, without even trying, I found myself in a leadership position. One of the things I noticed early on when I took that job was within a week or so, if I had a few moments alone with one of my coworkers, without any prompting, they began sharing very personal information with me. Stories about their relationships, personal crises they were going through, things they were unhappy about in work or personal life, whatever it was. And I noticed these were things that they were not sharing with other people they've known for a long time, people they'd worked with for a long time. For some reason, people just felt more comfortable around me and just started opening up. When people share these kinds of things with you spontaneously, it's a sign that they trust you. So how do you develop that trust? Well, this is where introverts have a secret advantage. But before we get into that, let's talk about what it means to be an introvert. A lot of people confuse being an introvert with being shy. They are not the same thing. Put it simply, introversion means you have an internal focus. It means a lot of your mental energy is spent internally, thinking about things, considering things. Introverts have a very rich inner life. It also means that focusing outside of yourself, focusing on social interactions, spending time with other people, loud, noisy, visually stimulating environments are very draining for us. A lot of people say introverts recharge their batteries in solitude while extroverts recharge their batteries in groups. That's a really easy way to look at it, but it's a little more deep than that. When you talk about a social battery, you're already looking at things through an extroverted point of view. For an introvert, the more dominant side of our life is our internal world. When we push our focus to the outside world, that's what we find draining. When we shift our focus back towards our inner world, that's what we find very refreshing. This can sometimes mean that introverts don't develop certain social skills as well as extroverts, that we don't necessarily have the right body language or are not comfortable in large groups. But at the same time, we do desire social connection. We are human beings and we like to be around other people. We just like to talk about things in a deeper way and we like to have a more intimate connection. We don't really like surface level things. So if that describes you, you're probably an introvert. But also remember that it's not an either or. Nobody's 100% introverted, no one's 100% extroverted. It's a spectrum. And you can feel introverted at times and extroverted at times. But if you lean more towards one side of the spectrum, more towards the inner world, more towards those one-on-one connections and more towards enjoying your solitude, you're probably an introvert. So in this video, we're going to focus on how introverts can leverage our natural abilities and build up some skills that we may be weak in order to become more effective leaders in business and life. So what does it mean to trust someone? To trust someone means that you have confidence in their intentions and their ability, that they intend to do what they say they're going to do and that they have the ability to accomplish it. And to be a good leader, you have to have both kinds of trust. If somebody trusts that you have good intentions, but doesn't think you have the skills or attributes necessary to fulfill them, they're not going to want to follow you. And if people think you have the ability to do what you say you're going to do, but that your intentions might be elsewhere, that you're not really focused on that, or that you're trying to mislead them, again, they're not going to want to follow you. They have to trust that you have both the intentions and the ability to do what you say you're going to do. That's where true trust comes from, and that's where a true leader begins. If you're finding this video useful so far and leadership is something that's important to you, then click the link down below and you can book a one-on-one consultation with me and we can talk about how to build a personalized one-on-one coaching program to help you become the best leader you can. Study after study after study show that teams that truly trust their leaders are more committed to the results, they have better collaboration, and they're more innovative in their approaches. But trust is a two-way street. In order for the team to trust their leader also has to trust them. So you have to demonstrate that you are worthy of trust by extending that trust to your team. A lot of people say that trust needs to be earned. That is the mindset of a follower. A team leader is exactly what it says, a leader. They go first, they are in front. To gain trust, you have to be worthy of that trust, and you have to be willing to extend it to your team first. You can give them a small task and trust that they will follow through. You're giving them the opportunity to prove that they are trustworthy. At the same time, you need to look for ways that your team may be consciously or unconsciously testing to see whether you are worthy of trust. When you make a promise, do you follow through? If they ask something of you, are you honest with them? When they ask you difficult questions or put you in tough situations, how do you respond? Are you someone they can count on to be there? Are you someone who's going to lose their cool and they should be cautious around? All these things are how they're going to evaluate whether you're worthy of trust. And you have to prove that you are worthy of trust to them first before they will trust you. Psychologically, the reason trust is so important in good leadership is because even though in most cases today, lives are not on the line, thousands and thousands of years ago, if your team fails you, your life could be in danger. So even when it's a very simple task, we need to trust the people around us. And when we feel that trust, we're willing to commit. And the more trust we have, the more we're willing to commit. So the deeper the bond of trust you can build with your team, the more lengths they will go to please you and to fulfill your goals. Listening and paying attention to your team members is one of the fastest ways you can build that trust. And a lot of times people think about applying these consciously when they're in a one-on-one conversation with somebody or in a meeting when it's important to pay attention. But actually, the foundation of this is in these moment-to-moment interactions, passing somebody in the hallway, having a brief conversation at the water cooler, a quick phone call or a text message. Paying attention and noticing these things then will actually build trust faster than when you only do them in those conversations. Chances are you've already had some basic active listening training, such as making good eye contact or summarizing what they said back so you understand it, those kinds of things. I'm going to point out some lesser understood things, lesser emphasized things that separate good listening to great listening. A lot of times when somebody's telling us something, we hear a point and we begin to formulate our response to that point while they're still talking. At that moment, we have begun to tune out of what they're actually saying. And the point they made is only part of what they're trying to communicate to us. Make sure you understand the whole thing they're trying to communicate to us, not just the first part. And to take this a step further, as I talked about in the last video, when they get to the end, instead of responding immediately, take a pause and maybe even do the triple nod and give them a moment to see if they want to continue talking. A lot of times they'll open up and tell you even more at that point, and you can gain more information so you can formulate a really, truly appropriate response to what they're saying. Now, one of the key skills of active listening is summarizing back what they've said to you so that you know you've understood it correctly and they can correct you if they're wrong. But a lot of times people focus on the content of the words and not the real message behind it. So for example, how many times have you asked somebody how they're doing today? How are you today? And they go, I'm fine. Okay, so the content is they're fine, everything's good. But the content behind it, the feeling behind it is they're not so good. Maybe they're angry, I'm fine. Or maybe they're frustrated, it's fine. Or maybe they're sad and they just don't want to talk about it, I'm fine. By summarizing both what you heard them say and how you heard them say it, what you think they're feeling behind it, you can clarify and give them the opportunity to clarify if you're wrong. Maybe you thought they were frustrated when in fact they're sad. Summarize it, you show that you're trying to understand the full message, and you give them the opportunity to clarify if you don't. Also, you need to understand the difference between listening and agreeing. A lot of times we don't feel heard, we don't feel like someone is truly listening to us if they don't agree with us. If you're in a leadership position, you don't necessarily have to agree with what they're saying, but you do need to understand what they're saying and the feelings behind it. As a leader, it's your job to take in as much information as possible before you make the decisions that you're going to make. And sometimes that means making a decision opposite of what they say or taking a different direction in what they think is best. This is, again, as long as they feel heard by you because they know you understood both what they were saying and the intent behind what they were saying, the emotion behind it, they will trust you that even if you choose a different route, if you make a different decision than what they would make, that you did take their thoughts into consideration. That is, again, how trust is founded. So you listen, but you don't necessarily have to agree. And in leadership position, often when you are looking for different perspectives, it's important that you not agree at first. Don't actively disagree, just look at it as information. This is only number 3 in the video series, Quiet Power, and I've got a lot of other content that's great for introverts. So if you want to stay informed, click subscribe and turn on your notifications so you're notified every time a new video drops. Now let's get back to it. The previous tips are great for all conversations, personal and professional, but now let's look at some more formal conversations where you can do some extra things that make you a better leader. The first tip is do your homework. When you're going into a meeting, whether it's a group meeting, a presentation, a one-on-one, an interview, know what information you should have at hand and do your best to have it at hand. Also, know what questions you should be asking. The more questions you have, the more information you can get from that meeting. By doing your homework, they see you're prepared, and again, this lies the foundation of trust. They see that you have the forethought and the ability to prepare for things. If they know you're prepared for things, they'll trust you more. Next is to focus on hearing, not just responding. Approach these meetings as information gathering. Unless you're there specifically to delegate tasks, what you should be doing is getting as much information as possible. So asking questions, making sure you fully understand. This is again where you're thinking about your response, summarizing both the content and the feeling behind it, and making sure that you clearly understand what they're saying. That's more important than making sure you have a response ready. In personal interactions, people will be a lot more freer with their emotions than they will professionally. When somebody in a professional situation will try to be more in control of their emotions, but they will still tell you things if you pay attention. This is really where introverts can shine because we can be more tuned in to those emotional cues, micro expressions, little habits that we notice about them in the outside the meeting that we notice they're doing here. Like somebody gets nervous and maybe they fidget with their hands, rub their hands together, or play with their hair. We notice these patterns from outside taking place inside a professional setting. We can use that information and use it to qualify what they're telling us with more information. The next key is to embrace silences. A lot of times when people are finished talking, if you give a little bit of a pause, they will begin to talk again. They'll give you more information. This goes right along with the triple nod technique. When you can be comfortable in silence, you'll elicit more information from people. And at the same time, when people see that you are comfortable in silence, that communicates a level of confidence that people need to see in a leader, that you're perfectly happy just sitting there thinking. Also, even if they don't have anything else to say, during that silence, you can be thinking carefully about what they said. That they will understand that you need time to process that information. And this is something introverts really do need. We need to be able to process the information we've just gotten. So you can even ask for silence. Say, okay, give me a minute, let me think about that. And after that, you can offer a reasoned response, an understanding response, or ask more questions if you don't understand enough, you don't have the information you need. Again, this all shows people that you are paying attention to them and what they are saying and what they're trying to communicate to you, and they will trust you even more when you take the time to think about what they said. Another hallmark of great leadership is seeking feedback. There are going to be times when you're unsure, you're uncertain, and it's okay to not have all the answers. It's okay not to know how to feel about something. When your team sees that you are willing to be vulnerable in that way and say, hey, do you think that meeting went okay? And it's not a trick question. You're not setting them up. They really understand that you want to know what they thought of the meeting. Then they're going to trust you more because they're going to know that you're not going to make a rash judgment because you think you know something you don't. It's also really helpful to get feedback from individual team members about how you deal with them. One person might respond really well to very direct criticism, and another person might take that really personally and it hurt their feeling and prevent them from giving their best. So they might say, hey, I wish you wouldn't talk to me that way. But you need to give them the safe space in order to do that. This is, again, an area where introverts can leverage their ability to connect with people one-on-one to really gain that trust and become great leaders. Seek that feedback, both from your team as a group and from individuals. Admit when you don't know something and let your team inform you. Let them teach you just as much as you teach them. This is how you build trust as a leader. Another important listening skill is actually setting boundaries. There are times when somebody may be talking about things that are inappropriate, maybe sharing gossip or telling you things about their personal life or crossing lines that you don't feel comfortable with. As a leader, you need to set those boundaries and enforce them. Now, I'm gonna have a whole other video on boundary setting, so I'm not gonna go too deep into this here, but recognizing and acknowledging out loud when something is inappropriate and that there are consequences for doing something is really important as a team leader. And sometimes that means telling one of your team members, that's not okay, or I'm not comfortable with this. One of the things you'll notice as you gain your team's trust is they may come to you with personal situations and ask you for advice in personal life. As your team leader, you need to understand when you are and are not qualified to advise them on personal things. There's a lot of times when they trust you and they mistake that trust in business situations for something that is inappropriate in a personal situation. You need to be able to set those boundaries. It's critical to being a leader. So which of these strategies do you plan to implement and how? Leave a comment down below. One of my favorite examples of good listening skills in a leader is Oprah Winfrey. Now, she made her career, she made her fortune by interviewing people on TV. She got them to open up and tell stories and reveal intimate details of their lives that they didn't with anybody else. How? Because she exhibited all of these leadership skills. But she's also known as an astute businesswoman who had a very, very loyal team behind her. And how did she gain that team's loyalty? I'm pretty sure it's by using those same exact listening skills. When you develop these listening skills and you use them effectively, it builds trust. Trust builds loyalty and respect, and people who are loyal to you and respect you will go the extra mile and give their A game to everything you ask them to do. That is the foundation of good leadership, and that is why trust is so important. And that is why, as introverts, leveraging our natural ability to listen to people and to think deeply about what they tell us and to analyze it with thought and intention is so important. Leveraging that skill makes us great leaders. Hopefully you found this video informative and helpful. Now, if you want to build a truly meaningful and fulfilling life, not just chasing wealth and status, but becoming the most successful human being you can be, click the link down below and book a one-on-one consultation with me, and we can talk about what a fulfilling and meaningful life looks like for you and what it's going to take to get you there. So now you understand why trust is so important for leadership and how introverts have a secret advantage in developing that trust amongst their teams. So if somebody told you that introverts don't make good leaders, you know that's a myth. Now, figure out which of these tips you want to implement first. Let me know in the comments what that's going to be, and then go out and do it. And in the meantime, check out one of these videos that YouTube is recommending, because I'm sure you're going to find that really informative too.